Hello! So it's extremely cold right now, which means I need a blanket and you're going to be able to hear the heater, but that's just the way that it is. Today we're reviewing every single book that I have ever read. Not to date, because there are a couple series that I read in like middle and high school that I think I'm going to reread before I put them on my shelf, on my Goodreads shelf. These are all of them, all around me. And I guess we'll just get started. I don't think there's too much more introduction to do. These are not in the order that I've read them because I can't remember it that well. So we're just going to do them in order of what I have them. First is the Shatter Me series, and wow, what a start. I ate this series up. I read this whole series in the month of December, and every single book was crazy. Every single book I was like flying through the pages, which isn't very common for me, especially in a series that have at least one book that I'm like, nah, you know, whatever. But this series, oh my god, I loved the characters. I love Kenji. If you read this series, Kenji is literally the absolute best. It kind of gave me Throne of Glass vibes, if you like Sarah J. Maas. This whole series, I would definitely say like 10 out of 10. I loved this, 5 stars, whatever. I think I rated each book like a 4 or a 5 star. No, none of them got 3 stars from me. So then we've got the Hunger Games series, which this series is what got me back into reading. This was such a good series. I also flew through this, and me and my boyfriend also watched the movie after I read the book. I just think this is such a good YA series that is a really good introductory into reading in general. I feel like anybody would enjoy this. I also really love this. Okay, next we have Divine Rivals, which is newer on the scene, I feel like. Okay, I must admit, the beginning of this book, not my favorite. Like, I had to force myself through a lot of this book, but the ending was so worth it. This ended up being a 5 out of 5 star read for me. I can't wait to read the next one. I know that it's already out, but I'm trying to finish my TBR before I buy new books. This one will rip your heart out. I think the only reason that I'm able to wait to buy the second one is because it's been a little while since I've read it, but oh my gosh, this is such a good book. And the writing is really good too. I really enjoyed that. Next we've got 99 Days by Katie Cotugno. I'm probably pronouncing that wrong. Honestly, this was a really good, like, chill read. There definitely is some, I don't know, it's not a super chill book, but the way that she wrote it is really cool. Instead of chapters, it's like day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4. Obviously 99 days. And I really liked this. I was surprised that it's not more popular, and I haven't seen as much about it. The only person that I've seen talk about this book is Haley Pham, so I don't know. I thought this was a really good book, especially if you need just like a standalone chill book to read maybe in between a series or something. That's a good one. If You Had Been With Me. This book was not what I was expecting at all. I don't know what I expected, but this book was not what I expected. I really liked the writing style, but it was kind of a slow read. I feel like it took forever to like get to the end, but the ending of this book will rip your heart out and shred it up and crush it and break it and everything. This, oh my gosh. Okay, yeah, so such a good book. I would say 4 out of 5 stars. I don't think it's one of those books that like you need in your library or like it would be a super cool edition. It definitely wasn't in my opinion worth the hype that it got, but still extremely good. I don't know. If you're looking to buy books, there are other ones that I would recommend before this one, but if you're just looking to cry, here you go. Next up we have Archer's Voice by Mia Sheridan. Oh my god, I loved this book. I ate this book up so fast. I don't know what it was about like the storyline or what I don't even know what you would call this trope, but I loved this book so much, and the ending is so nice and sweet, and wow. Okay, I don't even know what to say other than like, I love this book. You should read this book. I think it's so good. And I looked for this book for such a long time, and it was always sold out everywhere, even though it absolutely is on like Book Talk and stuff, but not as much as I see other ones. So anyways, I can't remember where I ended up finding it. I think at a local bookstore, but I would definitely recommend you read this book. It's so good. Also, have you guys read the second one to this book? Because if you have, I think it's called like Tristan, which I know is a character in here, but I don't know if it's worth reading or not. So let me know, but I loved this one. I love her writing style too. Okay, then I read the book Then She Was Gone by Lisa Jewell, and I really liked this book. However, like, my reading style has definitely changed since I've read this one, so I would still recommend it to you, but There are some trigger warnings that come with this one. I don't know. If you like kind of a mystery thriller-ish book, then I would say this one, but I don't know. It is a good standalone read, but it's not like the most amazing thing I've ever read. You know, it's kind of like a book. Coming over here, we have the book called Emergency Contact. I bought this book at a thrift store and I just like the cover of it. It's really good, but it's very slow for me at least. And I like the storyline, but it was also like kind of a little bit confusing. And I don't know, the characters were not my favorite. And I don't know how much I would recommend this for you to read, or anybody for that matter. This was a very meh book. I don't know. It's YA though, so that's good. And I don't know. I just didn't love the characters is really it. I like the storyline, but the characters and the writing wasn't my favorite either, but that's more of a personal preference. So that's that book. Then we've got The Handmaid's Tale by Margaret Atwood. And I think the only issue I had with this book is that I watched the show first, and I think the show is very dramatized in comparison to this. Not that it doesn't follow this story, but like this book, this whole book is 295 pages, and it only covered like the first season. So I don't know, that sounds so stupid, and I'm not trying to compare the book to the show, but it was just so slow and so hard to get through. So I think it's just not my reading style. I still loved it. I still think that this is a book that people should read. I think it's important to read, but it was hard for me to get through. But I did still like it. I don't know. This was a hard one for me. Okay, then we've got Where the Crawdads Sing. I don't want to talk about the author or any of that kind of stuff or what's going on, but I love this book. Like, I love this book. This was like, I read it in one day, which obviously not very hard because, I mean, it's not a super long book. 368 pages. I read it in one day. I would read it again. One of the very few books that I would do a reread of. And I did like the movie. Obviously, I like the book better. I feel like that's not a crazy thing to feel, but wow, this is such a good book. I just love this book. Maybe I like the trope of like people who live by themselves and don't like other people, and then they meet the one person they love. I don't think that's a trope, but anyways, between this and Archer's Voice, like I loved those two so much. This book is a really good read if you enjoy Southern reading, not Westerns. But it's also not, there's not really any spice in this book, but anyways, I loved it. 10 out of 10. Then we have The Unhoneymooners by Christina Lauren. I hated this book. I don't really know how else to put it other than that. I didn't like completely hate it, but I felt like the writing was very cringy and the story was very slow and it wasn't very funny to me. I don't know. I did not like this book. If you like this book, I'm sorry. I did not like it at all. Okay, then we have Love in Other Words by Christina Lauren. I think I just don't like Christina Lauren's writing style, because I also did not like this one, and this one was hyped up so much. I don't know. I did not like this, but I'm also starting to think that I don't like the, like, we used to be best friends our whole life and then something happened and now they like re-fall in love. I think I don't like that trope, but yeah, I did not like this book. It felt like it dragged on and on and on. So, not my favorite. Okay, then we have The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I love the way that Taylor Jenkins Reid writes. I love it so much. Like, I ate this up. The Old Hollywood was so good. And this is like the only Old Hollywood book that I've read. But geez, I love this book so much. I think it's such a cool story. And I think it's such a cool, like, the way she wrote the story and stuff. I don't know. So good. Okay, so then we have Malibu Rising by Taylor Jenkins Reid, which I like this one more than this one. This one is such a cool story, like so cool, and the way that it goes back and forth in time and it's talking about like this one family. This book is just very good. Like, this one I would recommend anyone to read, like no matter what you like. I just think that Taylor's writing style could be enjoyed by so many different people, but this story especially is so good. Okay, so then we have the, what do people call this? The Knock 'Em Out series by Lucy Score. And I did love this series. I'm not gonna lie, I ate this series up just like everybody else. But I loved this one. It was about, I think, like Lena and Nash. And this one I love these two way more than this one. I don't know why. I don't know. Lucy Score's writing can be so cringy. I love the plot, but like a town called Knock 'Em Out, and they like knock each other out. They don't go to the police, they just fight people, and like, I don't know. I hate cringy writing. It's hard for me to get through, and so this just, as much as I love the plot of this series and I would recommend it to people, I don't think I would recommend this author to people unless I knew that they like that kind of thing. But a lot of the people that I'm friends with who reads books, this just isn't the way to go. You know what I mean? So next we have all 4 of the Colleen Hoover books that I read. And I wish I never spent my money on them. Anyways, so, you know, I would give each of them maybe 2 stars. It's just not, I feel like the way that she goes about writing serious situations is very cringy, and that was Siri. That just scared the fuck out of me. Anyways, I would not recommend Colleen Hoover books. So, you read what you wish, but not my favorite. I wish that I could just return these and pretend like I never read them. I will still be watching the It Ends With Us movie though, but that's because I love Blake Lively, so. Now we're moving on to, these are, all of the books on this shelf are like some of my all-time favorite books, and yeah, that's why they're all on this shelf. The other ones go on the shelf in my bedroom, and these ones are out for everyone to see publicly displayed. Ali Hazelwood is literally one of my all-time favorite authors, like top 3 all-time favorite authors. I think this stuff that she writes is so funny, like it makes me laugh out loud. I think her characters are so well thought out, and I think that her plots are so cool, especially the way that she integrates like STEM with, you know, romance and stuff like that. So this one is what I would recommend to people to read first. It's A Loathe to Love You, but it's 3 novellas, and it follows like this group of friends, which is 3 girls, but each story is about one of the different girls. So it's really cool. It's like falling in love, obviously it's a romance series, but they're all 3 friends, so you can like hear them talk to each other about it, and like, yeah, so they never leave the story. The whole book has like all 3 of the friends, but they're all like going into depths in their different styles. But I love this book. I love this book so much. Okay, so then we have Love on the Brain. Love this one. This one is, let me see, NASA. So this one has to do with like space and stuff like that, and I ate this one up so quick. I think I read this one the fastest out of all of her books. This one is so funny. I just, what can I say? I don't always understand what I'm reading about, but I love it. I love it so much. And then obviously we have The Love Hypothesis, which is the book that introduced me to Ali Hazelwood. And I do love this book, but I don't think that it's her best as much as I do love it. I do think it's important to read this one first because these characters will like jump back in the other books that she's written. So yeah, this one's about Olive Smith and Adam Carlson. So I love this book. I still love them. Even if this one isn't my favorite by her, like I still love it. Like it's still a 5 out of 5. Okay, so Love Theoretically is my all-time favorite Ali Hazelwood book. I loved the storyline of this one. I loved the plot of this one. I love the characters, especially the female main character. She slayed in this book. I will say a part of this book does confuse me a little bit. Like it changes super fast, but you'll see that when you're reading, but it does kind of end up making sense. And characters from this book and this book come into this book, so it was just like fun all around. I always just have a lot of fun reading these books, and they're never heavy or like hard to get through or anything like that, and that's like my favorite kind of book. Just like a giddy, it makes you kick your feet and giggle, and it's so cute. Okay, so next we have my Emily Henry books, and I have read all but one of her books. So first we'll start with Book Lovers. This is the one that I read most recently. I adore this book. I love the way that it's written, but I especially love the female main character in this book. This book like flips the stereotype of a girl moves from the city and she goes out to the country and realizes that she loves it, and she falls in love with a guy who's like a farmer or whatever. And it completely reverses that, and it's this girl who lives in the city and she loves the city, and she goes out to the farm with her sister to do some bonding time, and she still hates it. Like, she still hates the city. And it's like about people who love books. I love this book. I love the way that she wrote it. I love the characters. It's just a really good book. And I feel like it is kind of a, what is that called? Slow burn, but in a good way. Like, just the right amount, you know? Okay, I love Emily Henry. I think that this book was funny and good, but overall I did not enjoy this book, and I wouldn't recommend it to other people. I was so surprised because normally I do like all of her books, but this one just wasn't my favorite. I think the storyline wasn't my favorite, and like I said before, this is like they were best friends their whole lives, and then like something happened and it messed it up, and then they reconvened and they fall in love. And I think that I just don't like that trope, best friends to lovers trope. I don't know why I don't like it. I just think that I don't like it. So I think that's why I didn't like it. If I could say that 100 more times for you. So then we've got Beach Read, which this is one of my favorite books ever. Literally ever. I love the storyline of this book. There's so much emotion in this book, and there's so much like plot development and character development, in my opinion. And this is a book that introduced me to Emily Henry, and I was not expecting everything. By the way, I never read the back of a book, which probably not the best, but I feel like it spoils it, and I hate spoilers. So I just went into this book blind, and it's called Beach Read, so I was like, this is gonna be a lighthearted little book. No, but 10 out of 10. I literally ate this book up. I love this book so much. Okay, so next up we have, as I'm sure you can assume, the love of my life. Oh my gosh, the ACOTAR series is so good. I'm sure you don't need to hear it reiterated 100 times, but like, me and my friends can still talk about these books to this day. And what's so fun about the series too is like, my sister has read it and my friend has read it, but I just got my boyfriend's sister to start reading it, and she's on A Court of Silver Flames. So it's just so fun when like other people read it to like recap and like re-talk about it and theories and all those things. I don't know. I understand, like, if you're a hardcore fantasy reader, if you, like, don't love this book, I guess I could understand, because since I have started reading more fantasy, this is definitely more romancy. Like, there is a ton of romance in here, but it's such a good introduction into fantasy, and if I did not read these books first, I don't know. Like, I probably would still be only reading romance, you know what I mean? So I love these books. I think that these books were so good. I think the world building was so good, and it genuinely just makes you feel like you're in their world. So anyways, if you need a sign to read the ACOTAR series, I will be your sign. Now, I'm not going to take all of these down because there's a lot of them. I'm missing a couple because I've loaned them out to my friends, but this is the Throne of Glass series. This is my favorite series of all time. The world building in this series, the intricacy of the characters and the plot, and how everything like comes back together and like nothing is a mistake, is so good. I cannot understand how Sarah J. Maas's brain works, let alone the fact that she wrote a couple of the first books in high school. That blows my mind. But no, I just don't believe it when people say that this book series isn't good. I hear you if you say that you don't like it, but to say that it's not good is crazy to me, because the amount of people that can talk about this series for hours, that can talk about these characters for hours, like, it's just so good. Like, it's so good. Praise to Sarah J. Maas. Love her, queen. So I just finished the Blue Crescent City House of Sky and Breath. So we've got the Crescent City series, and the third one comes out at the end of this month. Oh my gosh, so good. So I actually did not think that the first 200 pages of this book were that slow. I think like the first 50, it's definitely hard to like keep up. It just has to do with like the world building and whatever. And a part of the beginning of House of Sky and Breath was hard for me to get through. But holy Jesus, the end of it left on such a big cliffhanger, which I'm sure that you've heard, but like, holy cow. I would tell you, the order that I would recommend, which I've heard a lot of people say, to read the Sarah J. Maas universe in, is ACOTAR, then Throne of Glass, and then Crescent City, because ACOTAR characters come into play with these books, or the next book, I'm pretty sure. So anyways, I really, really, really love the characters in the Crescent City book, and I loved like just reading about them. All of the characters, like every single one, they're all just like fun and funny, and like she kind of did more with Crescent City, in my opinion, than ACOTAR, because so Throne of Glass has so many characters, like so many characters that you get to know, and Crescent City also does. There's so many characters and so many lines, and that's how like she makes these intricately developed plots, in my opinion, is because there are so many people at play. Whereas in the ACOTAR series, I feel like there's not as many characters, or like maybe more of the characters die off or something, I'm not sure, but anyways, Sarah J. Maas owns my heart. So those are, as of right now, my top 3 writers would be Sarah J. Maas, Ali Hazelwood, and I would say Emily Henry, but I just really love Taylor Jenkins Reid. I think that I need to buy more of her books and read more of her books, but I've just been deeply enveloped in the Sarah J. Maas world for the last little while. And yeah, so currently I'm reading Magnolia Parks, which I think Magnolia Parks should have a bit of a trigger warning on it. I had a traumatic relationship when I was a bit younger, and that book has like, this is not a spoiler, but it has like cheating and stuff in it, but the way that it's described and the depth of detail that it goes into. So I'm just warning you right now, before you read Magnolia Parks, be prepared. It's not a little silly, goofy Gossip Girl book the way that it was presented, in my opinion. It's a bit heavier, and I was not ready for it. So I've taken a couple of days of a break from reading that book just because it was a lot all at once for me, which doesn't happen that often. I've never had to do that before with any of, like, with all of these books that I've read, I've never had to do that. So I was very surprised. But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. I'm not a professional book critic. I'm just a girl who likes to read. So take this all with a grain of salt. Bye.